Hi, it's Bob Hoopshire, and this is the Gaining Perspective podcast, where we bring you insightful conversations with some of the top thought leaders in the investment advisor profession and investment management industry. I am the founder of Advisor Perspectives and a vice chairman of Vetify. The biggest recipients of the Great Wealth Transfer aren't happy with their advisor. Those investors, women in NextGen, including GenX, millennial, and Gen Z prospects, seeking a modern advisory relationship focused on a personal connection with an advisor who they can trust to understand their unique needs and help them achieve their financial and life goals. According to McKinsey and its research, an estimated 59 trillion will be passed down from baby boomers to their spouses and heirs in the next 40 years. By 2030, 30 trillion will be controlled by women. With the great wealth transfer as the catalyst for change, advisors need to update their strategy and tactics to better connect with, retain, and grow relationships with those clients who stand to inherit the bulk of the assets. Demographic shifts will drive the need for advisors to better understand how to connect with and support traditionally underrepresented groups. And my guest today is Lacey Garcia. She is here to talk about this topic. She is the founder and CEO of Willow. So, Lacey, let's start out by having you tell me about your career path, what led you to found Willow, and what is the problem that Willow is trying to solve?
Well, Bob, thank you so much for having me here today. Obviously, all those topics are very near and dear to my heart. My 25 plus year careers and path and who's counting at this point, right, has really been spent in financial services and at the intersection of women's empowerment and education. And I am a former financial advisor and I'm a long-standing client of a wealth manager. I also was first an educator and a coach, and then I was a marketer in financial services. So both my career experiences as someone who served as I'm a Cuban American, I served as a woman, one of the only women advisors sort of pulled in the team to become an advisor because I was actually able to connect with and speak with our women, our divorcees, our new widows, and the younger kind of generation of clients. So I got to kind of see firsthand, so what those clients were experiencing, that there was a disconnect with a lot of advisors being able to really connect with and to support those clients. I also had my own personal experience as a woman who transparently did not set out to be the breadwinner or the sole provider as I started my adult life. I'm a divorced single mom, running a wealth tech company. That was never in the cards. So I had my own personal journey. And really that's the culmination of why we started Willow, is that there is tomorrow's investors or women, younger investors, historically members of what we've thought of as underrepresented groups in the US, are looking for a more personalized experience and more of a holistic, not just financial planning, but holistic kind of financial and life goals planning, really personalized connection and empowerment from their advisors. And there's a real need for advisors to be able to kind of better understand those clients and be able to acquire and grow them as we're seeing, as you mentioned in the beginning, that assets are changing hands. And as we look towards the future, more and more of our clients will represent these tomorrow's kind of modern clients who are looking for something different.
Great. So I mentioned the great wealth transfer in my introduction. You've spoken about the shifting demographics. Tell me more about the actual numbers behind those changes in demographics. What is the biggest trend that advisors should be aware of?
Yeah, I think that the most immediate one is we referenced, I think in the beginning you referenced that stat from McKinsey and Company about the 59 trillion in wealth transfers that we're seeing that are going from baby boomers to their heirs over the next 40 years. Really, first is that women are the initial and the greatest recipients of this wealth transfer, both by the fact that we know that Women are outliving their spouses on average by about 15 years. Also, women are daughters. They are that next generation, so they're double inheritors in that sense. So first and immediately, if you do not have kind of a successful approach and strategy for supporting women clients, and you haven't engaged with the wives or the daughters within your client relationships, it's really critical that you do so. I think that's the first and most kind of important from a numbers perspective. I also think as we look at the younger generations, we look at kind of circling in first. We know Gen Xers are obviously the first immediate recipients of this great wealth transfer, but we look to millennials and to Gen Z, some really key data points there that within the next by 2030, we're going to see that millennials they're growing wealth at a faster rate than we've ever seen before. And actually, by 2030, their income will be 5 times what it is today. And actually, we look at Gen Z, and these are the younger folks in their 20s. We're seeing that they are also amassing wealth, not only from inheritance, but through their own, through their own income generation at a faster rate. And by 2030, their income will actually account for 33% of all global income. So it's kind of crazy as we look at these, not only women, but also these younger generations who are going to be holding more and more wealth, in greater, in sort of kind of greater pace than they have ever before.
So, talk a little bit more about the millennial and Gen Z demographics. They are tomorrow's investors, as you said. What are their characteristics? How do advisors need to adapt to be able to serve them?
Yeah, so I think first with millennials, we look at that population. They grew up, with probably about five once in a lifetime events taking place, right? Everything from the financial crisis to down to more recently COVID. So they got to see sort of firsthand the impact of obviously the financial system sort of collapsing and then rebuilding, and then what we went through with COVID. And so uncertainty is something that they are very kind of aware of, and I would say they tend to be more cautious because they've seen their parents like lose their money. They've seen these kind of once in a lifetime events, and they've had to live through them. But at the same time, they also are more comfortable with uncertainty. And I think one of the most notable things with this millennial and the Gen Zs is we look at them, and the latest data that we're seeing is that 5 years ago, prior to COVID, millennials were digital, were not only they were digital first, but they were really leading to be digital only. They thought they could do it themselves, right? They were less trusting of advisors. They were not very advisor dependent. But what we've seen over the last couple of years is now that 75% of all millennials actually want to work with an advisor. Yes, they want you to be modern and have technology that's seamless and in communications that are effective, and to be fully integrated with tech platforms and on social media. But at the same time, they also want a person. They have realized through the last couple of years that there is, that they want to find an advisor who they can trust, who has real experience, and who can also coach them. So 85% of these individuals are looking for financial coaching and really kind of life guidance from their advisors, in addition to the financial advice itself.
So, are there specific strategies that you are seeing wealth managers use that have been successful when it comes to tapping into either female investors, female prospects, or millennial slash Gen Z investors?
Yes, no, there are definitely strategies that are proven to work. So, for starters, I think we're seeing more and more advisors are figuring out that having a modern online presence, their website, actually having a social media presence, an updated LinkedIn profile that includes their bio. I mean, sorry, it includes their picture and their bio, and who they are and why they want to serve clients. Those are all have gone from potentially, nice to have to really table stakes. And obviously, you have to work with your compliance department depending upon the firm that you're with. But at the same time, we're seeing more and more ability to be able to provide that modern and personalized presence online. And that is critical, not only with women, but especially as we look at younger advisors, because they're going to first vet you online, right? They might have heard about you word of mouth, but first of all, they're primarily meeting you online, right? And getting you through these digital kind of resources and lead generation, and your own like advertising. But if they hear about you word of mouth, the first thing they're going to do is go check you out. And you want to make sure that it's clear to them why you would care about them, why you would be able to support them, and the value that you can bring to them is critical. So I'd say first is just really understanding that digital kind of first mindset, and making sure that your firms and your kind of presence is modernized and current online. So that's kind of the first and sort of most critical, I'd say, strategies.
How important is it for advisors to have team members that are in the same cohort as their prospects? So to have younger advisors who can serve younger clients, female advisors who can serve female prospects and clients.
Extremely important. Yes. We're also seeing that obviously these clients are looking, a lot of times we know that women really want to feel more comfortable working with women. Not all the case, not all the time, as I was saying. Actually, I'm not going to quote any recent data because there's no really great data out there at the moment that can speak to this, but we just know that a lot of times women want to know that you have women on your team, right? And that in younger folks want to know that you have younger folks on their team. And also, and we know that about 85% of all millennial and Gen Z investors are really looking for a team that supports diversity and inclusion. And the easiest and kind of best way to represent that is through the diversity of your own team members, which shows that you're embracing of different cultures and generations, and that you're bringing in kind of the diversity of those perspectives. So it is really, really important. I would say for folks who are listening to this and who are like, "Uh-oh, we're a group of all white men," that doesn't mean you're out of the game, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons we started Willow, is to really help those folks, because I know a lot of white male advisors who are on the older side, who still have amazing client relationships with women and with younger investors. And there's a lot of other ways that you can, make sure that you are sort of knowledgeable on what those clients need. Make sure that you know kind of the latest talking points and approaches, and have the best content and kind of ways to really kind of support and connect with those clients. So although I think the team dynamic is really important, and I certainly encourage you to look to build a more diverse and inclusive team, there's also other ways that you can do that. If you're not able to, really quickly kind of ramp up a diverse team from a talent perspective.
One way that advisors can demonstrate diversity is by showing pictures and bios of their team members. Are there other ways that you've seen that advisors can communicate that commitment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that first of all, what content are they sharing on your website? Like, how are you talking about different life stages and life events? Are you sharing case studies of clients? Does that show diversity? So maybe your team is not diverse, but are you showcasing diversity in the types of clients that you're serving and how you're supporting them? And similar to your point about like, intentionally with that web presence, also being sure that you're speaking to, if you want to attract a diverse client base, that you are making sure that maybe it's not your team pictures, but that you are representing those clients in your website and in your materials, so that they are able to see themselves in the opportunity to work with you and be supported by you.
Well, let's talk about Willow. So, explain the concept behind Willow. How does it work? If I'm an advisor, what is my experience going to be like using Willow?
We are a award-winning wealth tech platform. Our focus is on helping advisors to acquire and to grow trusted relationships with women, with the next generation. So really tomorrow's clients. And the reason behind Willow, the problems that we're solving are this for advisors. First is that we know a lot of advisors are struggling first just on how to kind of retain women clients, the divorcees, the widows, but also that next generation. And so we are here to kind of help you to learn how to do that, have the content, have the tools, make sure that you are able to retain those clients as wealth is transferring hands. But also, we know that so many clients out there, so many of these clients are struggling. They can't find the right trusted advisors. They can't find an advisor who they know is uniquely attuned to their needs if they're a woman or if they're a younger investor. And so they are looking at Willow to help to introduce them to advisors who really are on a personal connection, on a personal level. So I'll just say, let me just kind of take a quick step back. What we're doing is we offer two certification programs for advisors. One is Certified Advisor for Women. The next is Certified Advisor for NextGen. Those are about 5-hour time commitments. We're only working with advisors who are in good standing, who are sort of leaders in the field, who have who have experience and credentials that are in good standing. But then we are making sure that you really are up on the latest and greatest in terms of how to best serve those investors, but also that you know how to actually engage those investors, acquire them, make them feel comfortable with you so you can grow a trusted relationship. Certified advisors are promoted in our directory, the Willow directory of certified advisors, and we promote that directory to consumers and to sort of end clients. And in addition to that, we offer selective client acquisition services whereby we work with end investors to help them to find the best fit advisor. And on a one-on-one basis, we will introduce those certified advisors to vetted prospects who have we've already sort of gotten to know and made sure that you are going to be the right advisor for their needs.
So, do you work with RIAs only, or with RIAs, brokers, and wirehouse representatives?
Yes, we work with we work across all firms at this moment. Obviously, there's some wirehouses that we have relationships with, and others that we don't yet. But we do work with kind of all RIAs and independent advisors, and are looking to work across the whole industry.
So, there's an educational component. There's a certification program with 2 certifications. Uh, Talk more about the way in which you can introduce advisors to prospects that are a good fit for them.
Well, so through our certification program, which we're really kind of getting to know these advisors, we're making sure that we are clear on sort of where your strengths are, the types of clients that you are best at supporting, what your criteria is, right? So we get to know you and really understand how it is you're looking to grow your business. And I just got off a call actually right before this with an advisor. A lot of the advisors who are coming to us are intentionally trying to grow their business with women, with next generation clients. They are at a place where they really get to want to select the clients that they want to work with versus just, we all know as a former advisor, sometimes you got to work with the clients who come to you, right? So helping them to really proactively grow their business with the types of clients that they want. So focus on these niches and be able to grow relationships with sort of their ideal client base. And we're doing that, as I mentioned, right, really getting to know them. Through the certification program, we're able to kind of vet and certify and give you an added credential that speaks to consumers, speaks to the end investor. It's obviously we work in partnership with industry designations such as the CFP and the other designations through the Investments in Wealth. We are an approved CE credit sponsor for those designations. So you earn CE credits through the certificate programs with Willow. I think have up to 20 hours available through for the CFP, for instance. But we're really kind of helping not only building off of your experience and credentials, but really helping you to then connect the dots of, okay, so how do I actually engage and acquire these clients?
Great. And what does Willow cost?
So it's for advisors to become a certified advisor and get listed in the directory. It's $1,200, $800 sort of training fee, and there's a $400 annual directory listing fee. And advisors who are looking for vetted client introductions, that is $200 a month. So I can tell you we purposely have have priced this in a way that advisors are able, we want advisors to get immediate value. We don't want advisors investing a lot of money. We know which happens a lot of time with lead generation or marketing services, where the advisor puts in a lot of money, puts in a lot of time, and isn't getting any benefit out of it. So we're a mission driven company, and our focus is on really supporting advisors from the go, making sure that it's valuable, making sure that the time and the resources that you're putting into, you're seeing sort of an immediate return on that investment.
If there's one key takeaway that you would like to leave with our audience of advisors about the steps they should take to position themselves to attract female, next gen, millennial, Gen Z type clients and other underrepresented prospects, what would that be?
So take a look at your bio. Read what it says. Is it clear who you are and why you care about your clients? Is that why? That will connect with women, younger or underrepresented investors. Is that clear? Because if it's not clear in what's written online or how you introduce yourself and you give your pitch to prospects, then there's going to be a disconnect, right? You need to pull through why you care, why you got into this business. What's your story? Are you a child of a divorced woman, and that's why you have a connection to supporting women? What is your story, and how will it connect with these investors? Is a huge thing and I say this a lot of times at Willow. What we say may seem like common sense, but it's not common practice. I highly recommend you take a look and you think through it, because that is, first of all, that's going to get you on the phone. And if you follow that why through the conversation, you make sure to ask questions, you make sure to listen, you make sure to understand, show that client that you understand who they are and that you want to understand who they are, and you're there to support them. It's going to set you on a trajectory for success with that prospect or new client.
Well, on behalf of our listeners, thank you for that advice. And we'll also include some links in the notes that accompany this podcast. And there'll be a link for more information about Lacey and Willow. That link will be to the Willow homepage. Lacey, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I'd like to thank you, Bob and Vetify, for having me on today. Obviously, a big fan of what you built and the resource that you provide to advisors. And it's really a pleasure to get to chat with you and hopefully to be able to support this community in their growth with tomorrow's investors.
Well, you're very welcome. And thank you for listening to the Gaining Perspective podcast with Bob Hoopsher, today featuring Lacey Garcia of Willow. To support our podcast, please share, subscribe, or leave a review to help make our podcast more findable for your friends and colleagues. You can subscribe to Gaining Perspective on your favorite podcasting service.